Hi, and welcome to this data PowerPoint video on 5 tips and tricks for Dataflow Gen2 in Microsoft Fabric. My name is Jon, and I blog about these topics as well on my blog downhilldata.com. If you have further questions about what's showed here in this short 5-minute video, feel free to get in touch. Without further ado, let's jump into it and have a look at the 5 tips for data flows. So the first thing I wanted to show you is that contrary to popular belief, data flows can actually output data nowadays, which wasn't the case in Dataflow Gen1 and Power Query. But today, you can go into your data flow, add a default destination. You can choose between lakehouses, warehouses, SQL databases, or even SharePoint as a destination and have your query update data directly to a source on an automated schedule, which is awesome for a self-service developer who maybe don't have the tools available or the skills to build pipelines or notebooks. Speaking of SharePoint, another tip I wanted to show you is that when reading data from SharePoint, you go to, usually in your GUI, you'll go up to Get Data, you'll pick a source, you'll pick SharePoint, it'll create a data connection that in your source step here will be using the connector called SharePoint.files. I'm using SharePoint.contents here because there's actually a performance increase to be won if you make this small change. So if you make that connection, you need to go to source and you need to change SharePoint.files into SharePoint.contents. It has the added benefit of the SharePoint.contents actually showing you the true folder hierarchy and structure that you're used to from SharePoint instead of showing this huge just bulk list of all the documents in your directory. So make sure to do that change for another small performance boost as well. The third tip I want to talk to you about, which is also related to performance increase, is about query folding. So this is not a new topic, but it was hard to decipher when this was happening in Dataflow Gen1 and in Power Query. So query folding is the act of pushing our transformation and our heavy lifting back upstream to our data source. But not all data operations can be folded by the data source. What you need to do is go to your applied steps of your query and look for this indicator here, which says whether or not a step can be evaluated by the data source. If it says it can be evaluated by the data source, the query is folding. If we go to the last step here, kept bottom rows, this step will be evaluated outside the data source, meaning locally in data flows, and this is not great for performance. I can also go to the query plan of my query here and see that these first 2 steps, they were handled remote, but the table.lastN is buffering and being handled locally in my data flow. And that's what's bad for performance because our SQL source in this case could not take care of that for us. If you have a query which is query folding, you enabled another new feature called fast copy. For queries which fold in their entirety, we also have the possibility of evaluating these with fast copy, which means that instead of using the Dataflow engine to perform the actual write operation, we can use the pipeline engine instead. So what's known as the copy activity from the data pipeline engine. And this is only possible for foldable queries. And what you'll do if you have some steps which are not foldable, you'll split those out into a separate query using reference, and they will happen after the fast copy query has taken place. But this will tremendously increase the performance of your queries as well. The final performance enhancing trick I've brought for you today is using incremental refresh, which is a feature which was very recently introduced for Dataflow Gen2. So right-clicking on something like a large fact table, which is what I have here, I can click incremental refresh, define a column to filter by, define a column which signals what data is changing, signal or tell the flow how much data to refresh. And this doesn't mean that it'll delete anything before this time. It will just only refresh what you specify here. And to performance tweak a little, I can even choose the bucket size here. And all in all, what I'll have is data flow, which on subsequent refreshes will take only a fraction of the compute that they maybe did in the past. Those were 5 lightning fast tips for Dataflow Gen2, and I don't blame you if you think things were moving a little fast. So feel free to reach out or head over to downhill-data.com for a slightly more elaborate take on all of these features. Thank you so much.